Today we're going to change the oil on a 2015 Chevy Suburban. It takes 0W20, 8.5 quarts. Today they had a deal at Advanced Auto for 5 quarts of oil plus a Fram Drive oil filter for like $31. So I bought 2 of those deals. I'll just save the second filter for later, but I'll use about 1.5 of these 5-quart jugs to fill this up. We're going to keep this a pretty basic video, but maybe if this is your first time changing oil or changing oil on a 2015 Suburban, this will help you out. So let's get to it. First thing we got to do is we got to pop the hood. There's a hood release under the dash. You pull that to unlock the hood. Let's come up front. And we're going to reach under on the left side. There's a little tab you can shift over to the right hand side and lift up. That's what it looks like. You shift it over to the right and then the hood lifts up. So here's the engine. Over here is where we will fill the oil up. You see it's SAE 0W20. They recommend the Dexos formula in the oil as per the manual. Here's what we need to get the job done. An oil pan, a rag. I have 2 jugs, 5-quart size of 0W20 oil. This will take 8.5 quarts. I have the Fram Drive oil filter FD10575. This was a deal today at Advanced Auto Parts. 5 quarts plus a filter for about like $31. So I bought 2 of the deals, and I will leave 1 filter in the garage for later. A funnel to refill the oil. I have 2 oil wrenches here. I'll probably use the black one here on the left just because it pinches right on it and gets it off easily. But this band style could work too. It does fit the filter, so that's a good option. And then I have a 15mm socket, and I'm going with the 6-point instead of the 12-point just because it grips better on the plug. And then I plan to use this Z creeper over here, but it's a little bit too high to fit under the running boards of the Suburban. So I think I can use that on the Titan over here, but I'm not going to be able to use that on the Suburban unless I jack it up. And I'm not going to jack it up because I could just slide under, and I don't need to put myself at extra risk by putting it on jack stands or anything. So we're just going to do it on the floor. Okay, so I'm under the vehicle now. I'm right in the middle of the vehicle. Right here is the oil drain plug. Right here is the K&N oil filter. First, I'm going to remove the drain plug and let some oil drain out, and then I'll come back and get the filter out. I like the fact that in this vehicle they're close together, so I can use 1 oil pan to capture everything. I've had some vehicles where they're spread apart and you need 2 different oil pans, but let's get to it. Okay, I did break this oil plug loose before filming just because it's really hard to film with one hand and do all the other work with your other hand. There's no room for a tripod under here. So what I'm doing is just unscrewing the plug. You'll see some oil start to drip out. And then, then we're just gonna let it fall, and we're gonna let the oil start running free. We should be getting close. We see some oil coming out. There we go. We'll let the plug sit in here to drain, and I'm using my rag to wipe my hand off. I like to do this when the engine is not hot, but like maybe I was driving it a couple hours ago. So I drove home from work today, ate dinner, and now I'm out here changing the oil. This vehicle has 8.5 quarts, so that's going to be a pretty big amount. It's definitely going to fill up this, pretty much this full oil pan here. I hope it doesn't overflow it, but I don't think it will. I'm going to adjust the pan a little bit just so we don't miss catching any of it. So at this point, a majority of the oil is out of the engine. I'll let this drip for a little bit longer, but now we're going to get into removing the oil filter. I also will go up top and loosen the oil filler cap, just so that in case there's any air holding back, like a vacuum on anything, it'll let it flow through. Let's go do that. Okay, now we're up top. I'm going to remove the oil filler cap and just set that aside. That'll let some air flow through. Make sure everything starts draining out. Now we're going to go back down below and get that oil filter out of there. Okay, so you can still see some of the oil coming out. I'm going to grab this filter with my wrench. And I'm going to start to loosen it. Yeah, this oil filter wrench works really good. I'll link a description, or I'll put a link in the description to a similar style wrench. But you can always kind of let it sit for a minute and drain out like this before you let it drop and spill a bunch of oil everywhere. So I'm just going to keep cranking this. It's going to fall eventually. I have good access on this filter, so I don't have to even get my hands dirty, so I can just keep using the wrench. We'll get in there. Let's get it out of there. Okay. Drop it down to the oil pan. Let it drain. Alright, there it is. We're just going to let everything sit for about 5 minutes and finish draining out. Then we'll get to putting a new filter in, the plug back in, top it off with oil. Well, that's finishing draining. We're going to start getting the oil filter ready. So what I'm going to do is just dip my finger in there and get just a tiny bit of oil on it and put it right here around the rubber seal. Okay. Now we're going to get this oil filter installed. Okay. It's pretty hard to record. I'm gonna do my best, but up there is where the oil filter was. I'm just gonna take my rag and clean the area where the oil filter will seat on it with the gasket the best I can. This angle here. Okay. And then you just want to put your oil filter up in there. Got it started. It took two hands, took a minute. So we're gonna tighten this up. And what you want to do is kind of just hand tighten it till it's pretty tight, and then kind of try to give it a quarter turn with your hands. But you definitely don't need any tools to tighten this thing on there. Hand tight, as good as you can do, plus a quarter if you can do it, is more than enough to hold this baby in place. Okay. Okay, I'll put the final twist on that in a minute off camera, because I can't do it right now. I'm gonna do the same thing with the oil plug. I'm gonna give it a wipe right there, and we're gonna get the plug back in there. With this, I usually go hand tight, wipe the oil off, and then I use the wrench to tighten it up. There we go. Okay, it's hand tight. Put my socket on it. Tighten it up. Okay, and then off camera I'll tighten that filter, and then we'll go up top and fill it up. Okay. Using a rag just to give me a little bit more grip. That is tight. That's as tight as you need that oil filter to be. Swipe it down a little bit. Yeah, my oil pan's leaking a little bit. It leaks about a half a quart. Probably every year. It's not a ton of leaking, but that's on the list to get fixed eventually. All right, let's go up top and in. Whoa. We were losing daylight quick, so I stuck the light in here. All you gotta do is put your funnel in there, and then we're gonna get to pouring the oil in. Just go nice and slow with this. We're gonna put 5 quarts in first, and then we're gonna slowly put another 3.5 quarts in to get us up to that 8.5 quarts of oil. This takes a lot of oil. Probably the most oil I've put in a vehicle. I know diesels take more, but this is a good bit for a gas vehicle. Alright, that's the first 5 quarts in. If you're not familiar with oil containers, they have this little guide here on the back where you can see the oil level. So you want to be down there to 1.5 level after we put some of this in here. So let's get going. I'm just checking the oil level. Probably can't see it on camera, but I'm still at 3.5, so I still got 2 quarts to go. Check it again. Okay, right now I'm about 2.5, so I got 1 more quart to go. Check that. Okay, right now I'm at 2.0 quarts left, so I got about a half quart to go. Right there, I'm about 1.7 quarts. I'm going to give it just a little bit more. And right there, I'm right on 1.5 quarts left. So that has 8.5 quarts in it. Let's get this cap back on it. Okay. There we go. And that's an oil change in a 2015 Chevy Suburban. What I'll do now is I'll run it for about 5 minutes and then I'll check the dipstick, just make sure the level's good. But it should be right on the money. We put a new filter in, we put 8.5 quarts in, 0W20, and we're ready to go. The oil says it's good for another 10,000 miles. I'll reset the computer in the vehicle. I think it kind of reminds you at 6,500 miles or something. And that's when I like to change oil anyway, because it's cheap insurance. We're just gonna check the oil level here. Pull the dipstick. We're gonna give it a clean wipe so there's no old residue on it. Put it back in, whole way down until it's seated. Pull it back out. Let's look at it. It's probably hard to see on camera, but the oil level is right 2/3 the way up to the top of the little area here. Let's see if we can get that on camera. So it's like, it was just right up to there, and the top hole is right there. So we're right in the good range for oil. We are good to go. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.